Hi, mystery writers. Welcome to the Mystery Writers Studio. I'm Zara Altair, and today I want to talk about conflict in your mystery because it's a lot more subtle in a mystery than it is in some other genres. A traditional mystery is not a thriller or an action adventure novel, and it's unlikely your mystery will contain multiple fight and battle scenes filled with physical conflict. But you still need conflict to engage your reader. It's at the heart of storytelling. Good storytelling needs conflict. Conflict builds suspense by creating tension, and for a reader, tension raises the question of what will happen next. And that tension keeps them reading your story. So, conflict happens when your character wants something, that's their goal, and someone or something prevents them from reaching that goal. It's just that simple. So, there are many ways to create conflict in your mystery without having fight scenes, all right? Uh, your main character has an external goal to find the villain, right? To reveal that villain. And each detective also has an inner goal that provides more conflict. So you're going to have an external goal and an internal goal, and each of these goals can be obstructed in your story. Conflict is obstruction, and through most of your mystery, your character cannot reach that external goal because people get in the way, people or things, right? Without all that obstruction, there wouldn't be a story to read. So, for example, she must wait for evidence results, or he must find the right suspects to interview. And suspects hold back information. Suspects go missing. It's the nature of a mystery novel to put obstacles in the way of your detective search. And every time your protagonist tries to overcome an obstacle, they meet obstruction. So you write a narrative filled with problems. And just like life, at times, those problems seem insurmountable. And obstruction creates conflict. Conflict creates struggle. Struggle results in actions and outcomes. And those outcomes may be successful or not so successful. And often they're unplanned and they lead your character into more trouble. All right? So, external conflict is the story goal, right? Um, in a mystery, the primary goal is exposing that villain. And every false statement from a suspect, and every red herring, and every attempt by an opponent or traps set by the antagonist are all conflict that impede your detective's goal. So, internal conflict comes from personal goals your detective has, and these are related to overcoming personal demons or shortcomings. And while internal goals deepen the character and make them more relatable to your reader, if you use them as additional obstructions to the main story goal, then your reader really cares about your story. Right? Internal goals introduce conflict uh, and and obstructions which the reader cares about because they care about your detective, and they root for your character to achieve that story goal and to find the villain. All right, so internal and external in your conflicts and goal, I can't say this, internal and external goals Both provide opportunities for conflict in your story and provide opportunities to keep your reader reading, right? The worst thing that can happen is they put your book down and never pick it up again. So you don't want that to happen. And conflict keeps them questioning what will happen next. How is this character going to get out of this terrible situation? You can search online for lists of different internal and external conflict, and assigning conflict to your character is the easy part. What you want is to create a story, a mystery story, that engages your reader emotionally. The types of conflict aren't as important as how you use them in the story. And the secret to compelling conflict that drives the story, is integrating it at the right point so it's integral to your story. That's, you don't want conflict coming out of the sky. You really want it to be part of your story, because every time if it's not integral to your story, your reader's going to wonder why that happened, all right? Um, so just think about the different ways your particular character can have conflict in the story. And you can set up conflict from decisions that your protagonist makes. And she may need one more piece of information to make the decision, or she can't find it, or he may grasp at a thought only to have it take him on a wild goose chase. And while your protagonist is clearing the path toward the villain, they may lose a friendship, question their own place in society, or struggle trying to live up to, say, his father's reputation. There's just many ways you can introduce conflict into your story without actually having fight scenes, all right? So I think that's the main thing you need to focus on. You'll master conflict if you keep these guidelines in mind. Limit your character's goals to 2 or 3, excuse me, external and internal. Put those goals in opposition to each other. So the internal goal in and of itself provides some conflict with the external goal of finding that villain. And of course, to keep your readers reading, you want some kind of conflict happening in each scene of your story. And that's usually somewhere in the middle of the scene. I've talked about this in scene construction. Somewhere in the middle of the scene, whatever your character wanted at the beginning of the scene, there's an obstruction in the middle which keeps them from getting to what they wanted when the scene started. So at the end of the scene, they have to make a decision or take action in order to deal with the new conflict that comes up in the scene, all right? So those small conflicts in every scene keep your reader engaged, and your detective was going to win or lose in each scene. So you keep your reader engaged by presenting those little conflicts as well as the great big ones. So, and you want to stagger the internal and the external goals to drive your story. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do to balance that conflict in your story. But you want it there, because without conflict, there's no story. And so have fun brainstorming your conflicts and keep your reader on the edge of their seat. So I hope that helps you understand conflict and mystery. We're not talking so much. You may have fight scenes, quite possible, but they're not the main component of a mystery novel. A mystery novel is all around solving a puzzle. So think of all the ways that you can create conflict for your detective without necessarily getting them in a fight. All right, I hope that helps, and I will see you next week. Thank you for being here.